Bulavinaka Namaskar and welcome to Current Affairs here on my TV. I'm Tukini and great to have you join us again this week. It's been a very interesting week since last week where we had a lot of talk about the price hikes and the VAT increases that finally sort of landed at ground level when you and I, consumers, started dropping our jaws when we saw the new price tags on the items that we bought at supermarkets, etc., etc. Although we had been following closely the budget build-up, the budget announcement by the Minister of Finance, Honorable Biman Prasad, and although we had been reading up on all the media and just sort of absorbing everything with regards to the new changes as far as how it affects us with regards to the budget announcements. Now, VAT increases has been one stride after budget, and that again by the Minister of Finance. And today we have on Current Affairs our guest. She is the director, the head of the Fiji Council of Social Services, Vani Ratanasinga, name that's very well known for those of you who know exactly how civil society bodies work. Vani has been lobbying for a long time in her career, in her capacity as Fiji Council of Social Services Director, but earlier on you've worked in a lot of fields in the NGOs. And Vani, we're so very happy that you could join us on the show today, and thank you for being here. We'd like to start, of course, with this the Fiji Council of Social Services and how you, as its head and as a lobby for the changes to happen in this budget, how you see all these new developments, especially with the change in administration, and looking back through your experience over the years.
Yeah, I think it's been generally positive. I think that whenever government creates the enabling environment for civil society and particularly citizens to participate in governance, that's positive. And I will say that some of these changes we had started to see also in the last few years, even as Fiji first was exiting. We also saw that they were beginning to make sense of what we were trying to say, particularly with regards to citizens' voice and people's inclusion, and how that actually helps to improve good governance in the country. Some of what we've lobbied for in terms of citizens' inclusion in public finance management had begun to, take root, I think, in some of how Ministry of Finance generally was responding, yes.
Well, congratulations for that, and it's great to know that your work has been paying off. And we heard that the booklet that was released, can you show us the booklet?
This book.
There you go. That's the Citizens' Guide to the National Budget. The budget guide. You lobbied for that, your organization, and voila, it's here. It's an excellent guide, isn't it?
Yes, very simple. It has all of the infographics that that ordinary citizens can understand. It's laid out in a way that's pretty simple. It starts with explaining what is government budget, the purpose, and all of that. And they amended the Act in 2021, the Financial Management Act, to make sure that every year there's a user-friendly summary of the annual budget, something like this.
So they changed they amended the law?
Amended the law to include the production of citizens' budget guides every year.
We'll put that up on the screen for you so that you can have a good look at it, and it's also available where we can go and get it from their office, from the
And it's available online as well. I
and
think it's on their website.
online on the government website. Yes. Okay. Congratulations. That's a very big leap forward. Apart from that, let's just go straight to the recent price hikes and how there's been a lot of talk over how traders have been caught actually taking advantage of the 15% increase in tax. Can you tell us about your experience in that area?
Yeah, I think the increase first is to correct that the increase was 6%.
Yes.
Right? It was 9% before, so it's now increased by 6% to 15%.
To 15%, right?
I think one of the things that we had actually realized very early on was that we had this huge debt problem, and at some point in the near future we'd have to deal with it. The choice that was given to this government and decision makers was whether we do it now or we do it later. And I'm all for tackling issues as soon as we can, so that it doesn't grow and becomes too much to handle. What we did as we were anticipating this increase as our members was we had held a workshop, I think, just before the economic summit, and talked to our members about, it was a national debt workshop. And then we asked them, what do we do? What do you think should happen? And they did start suggesting some of the initiatives that's now in place. They anticipated that there would be increase in food prices.
Right.
And then we talked about how do we mitigate this at the national to the family level.
Right.
So once we put that out, we said, okay, we're going to action this now. So we did, financial literacy for families. We started encouraging people, just as we were doing during COVID, planting, using our backyards. Start doing that again. Start looking at how your meals should change, so that if you're eating a lot more of the store-bought food, you're eating a lot more of the homegrown local foods. So we knew that this was going to happen. And it was really about trying to encourage our members to begin talking to their communities about what they should expect and how they should start mitigating at this point in time.
Great. So the financial literacy, this is going down to the grassroots level. And making sure that they learn more about issues like saving money, budgeting, and of course how to do it effectively, of course. I mean, you can budget and not follow it. There's so much discipline that's required of a person when you want to save your money and when you want to budget.
Particularly if you live communally, where there are obligations, that you give as a community. And one of the difficulties we realize is that often it's we can impact mothers. They usually are the ones that come and ask us, can you come and hold it in our community? So there's been a lot of financial literacy done in the central division. We had been doing it previously anyway, because this is part of our microfinance program.
So how can one just who's just happened on our show this evening say, how can I get a bit of that financial literacy? Can you fill them in on the details if they need to get some advice on that area?
So in terms of financial literacy, we have 3 types of trainings that we often provide under our livelihoods program. One is financial literacy, and that's the basics: family budgets, looking at income, looking at expenses, how many members of the family earn, all right? What are your habits, and then just documenting what is essential, what is not. That's one. Then we go into small business training, which is about people who have now saved effectively and now they want to go into small business.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Some initiatives at the, and so we start training them about keeping the books.
Okay, that's so important.
Yeah, small business, micro businesses. So they go through maybe 1 week of training. Sometimes they ask us, can you just consolidate the training into maybe 1 or 2 days? So we pick out what's important, but we tailor make the program so that it suits whoever's asked for it.
Yeah.
And then we have a business continuity curriculum,
Excellent.
which is for small businesses or micro businesses that are starting to grow and want to protect it in case there's disasters, there's flooding and all that. So those are the 3 types, and we have 2 offices. We have one here in Suva, one in Lotok.
We're talking to Vani Ratanasinga, and she's telling us a lot about how we have to tighten our budget, about how Fiji Council of Social Services, her being at the helm, are doing with the awareness and also getting people to, first of all, lobbying prior to the budget so that changes could be made, so we could actually get a booklet like this after the amendment was made in the Act, a booklet that tells us all about how we can better understand what's going on in the budget and also how it directly affects us as citizens. No matter how big or how not so big the size of our wallets are, I believe that it is important that we make some changes in our behavior. So, Vani, give us a bit of your advice on what changes we should make with our family budgets and how we, and how we actually we tackle this, in light of all these VAT increases.
Right. Just to say that our members, last week, as soon as it was August 1st, they had started to document the prices that they could see at their level, supermarkets, and of course, some of the photos that were circulated around the prices had come and they had questioned the validity of it. It was a good thing that FCCC has gone out to monitor that.
Yes.
We understand that some traders had already been that when they got receipts, they would see the 15% already on it before. So it's good to know that other stakeholders like the Consumer Council and FCCC are out there doing their monitoring, and I have been doing that in the last few days. What we have advised is, of course, and that was after we gathered our members pre-economic summit.
Yes. When you're mentioning members, for the uninitiated, who are you referring to?
AFCOS is a membership-based organization, so we have about 18 district councils of social services, and then we have 7 NGOs, national NGOs that are members. And so whenever we do work, we ask our members, what do you think of a particular policy? And we're based off what they think should happen. Many of them are at community level. So they're, when
that's when it really matters. Really.
Yes, when you put your ear to the ground, you're able to get that kind of good advice. So basically they talked about, eating more local food, it's a lot more cheaper, a lot more healthier, and that's what we've been advocating about. That's one. It's also looking at what you might spend on in terms of your hobbies and perhaps other habits. So when you're thinking about entertainment as a family, what does that encompass? Does that involve cover? Does that involve alcohol? So you have to start thinking about how you cut that down. We're also, there was a suggestion, particularly from the Western Division, our members, who said that it might be good for government to consider investing in communal gardens or initiatives that are already starting on the ground, because that can feed a whole community. Then we have a lot of members who are also in informal communities who talk about the issues of, they don't have enough land, like some of us who have, backyard gardens, space.
Yeah.
Some of them don't have that at all.
Vanita Tamasinga, the Director of Fiji Council of Social Services. So, in a nutshell, what Vani is telling us and what is echoing out there after, before, in the build-up to the budget, and with the recent decisions made and the increase in VAT, increased by 6%, yes, to 15%, and of course, all the talk, all the hype that's going on right now is about tightening the belt, because government has decided to bite the bullet now rather than later, when we are at a much worse off situation. Hence, that should actually trickle down to us at the ground level. You and I making changes, and also cutting down on costs that we use on, shall we say, wants as opposed to needs. Bunny, I'm just so happy to see that at least the staple stuff that we usually buy, like flour, they haven't made any increases in
That's
that,
right. Yes.
But otherwise, it is important to make those changes. So let's do it for our own good, and also for the good of the nation as a whole. Vani, thank you so much for coming in today, and we hope to have you again sometime in the future. I know how busy you are, of course, tackling all the issues and the meetings and getting out there, continuing with your advocacy work and training and all that. But we'd like to have you sometime later on.
Sure.
On current affairs. Vanita Tamasinga, Director of FCOS, here on My TV. When we come to you next, it's with a quick look at what is hot in the news right now. You're watching Current Affairs on My TV. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tukini. Now we'll look at the trending news this week, what's hot on current affairs at the moment, and these are my special picks. We'll lead, of course, with the trial of former Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama and the former Commissioner of Police, Commissioner Ngilio. Now, in the trial that a lot of people have been following very closely on social media especially, and on television, in the newspapers, been making headlines, the progress of the trial, because of the fact that it is the former Prime Minister and the former Commissioner who are actually taken to court for certain allegations leveled against them. The former director of the CID, Mr. Misake Wanga, outlined 3 reasons why he closed the University of the South Pacific case back in January 2022. He appeared as a prosecution witness during the trial of former Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama and suspended Police Commissioner Sitiveni Ngilio in the Super Magistrates Court. And they told the court the 3 reasons why he stopped the USP case, why he stopped investigations, were 1, interference from the government; 2, he stopped it to protect the case file; and 3, he stopped the investigations into the USP case because he wanted to ensure that the case file could be accessed again in the event of a change of government, which is what's happening right now. So we're all keeping a close watch on that trial, and I'm sure a lot of people are talking about it. Flying Fijians, congratulations, they won the Pacific Cup. Mate, we all watched the final game with Japan after they defeated the Ikali Tahitonga and the Manu Samoa team. The formidable Fijian side, of course sponsored by Fiji Water, took down Japan 35-12 to secure a clean sweep of the final game of the Pacific Nations Cup. I stayed up late to watch that game, and I'm sure a lot of you did. So I want to congratulate the Flying Fijian side. We're all looking forward already to the upcoming World Cup. They dominated throughout, punishing Japan, after they were reduced to a 14 men early in the first half, when their flank Lapis Labushashne, it's quite a difficult name to pronounce, was shown a red card by the referee for his contact to the head of center Vilimoni Botitu. Anyway, the Fijians already had the lead after turning over a ruck in Japan's half, leaving Captain YCN at the level to run in a try of two neat offloads. Exciting game, and we wish the Flying Fijians all the best in their build-up to the Rugby World Cup. Of course, we haven't chosen our national team to go to the represent Fiji at the Cup, but we know that coaches all got it down pat, and it's a great responsibility for him. And finally, we shall end our look at the trending news this week on current affairs with comments made by Savanatha Narumbe, former governor of the Reserve Bank and also head of one of the parties that contested in the last elections. He is very, very precise advice to each and every one of us with regards to the increase in prices thanks to the VAT increases. The best way to tighten the belt, he said, is to stop the smoking and to stop the kawa. So there you have it from Savanatha Narumbe. That's the best way to save your money and spend it where it's needed most, where the priorities lie, of course, in food and the essentials. And of course, keeping some aside for your savings. Stop the cover and stop the smoking, and let's tighten up on the belt with our budget. Savanatha Narumbe ends our whip around as far as current affairs is concerned this week. When we join you next, we'll be rounding up the show, and stay with us on MyTV. And that brings us to the end of current affairs. Well, we have been talking about tightening the belt in the show. We've talked to Vani Vatanasinga, the director of Fiji Council of Social Services. We've been closely following all the hype in the media with regards to the important changes that we need to make in our family budgets and how we can better look after the little money that we earn in order to be able to save money for the future, in order to make the important decisions on our spend, and in order to be able to survive during these times when we have, as a community, decided to follow government's lead, bite the bullet, and tighten the belt with regards to our spending, so that we can meet the increasing prices on our food and other commodities due to the recent VAT increases. Those are hard and tough decisions that have to be made, and it involves all of us to also make our own decisions within our families on how we better look after our budget and how we make a responsible decision making. And so with those words, I will leave you with the charismatic group from the Our Lady of Fatima Church in Ndera, who are going to offer up prayers for the nation, for you and I, and also for this one purpose of our survival and our responsible decision making in our families. The charismatic members joining us for prayer are Tomasi Tombe Aweni and his wife Vika, and also Teresi Angonewai and Mrs. Vere Vakalaloma. Until next week, when we join you on Current Affairs from me, Tukini, good evening.
Tu wavi na vinaka veke unina tamake mami singa ni kuwa na walevu ni shol ni mbula ni vuta veke mami veke tonu ni shoi ni vingarabe na matakongo rani kitu maindua wata na tikinongo rani ki mami maia na wavi na vinaka veke muni tu wavi na vinaka taka na tamake mami no ni shol ni vingarabe ni vivara utaki mekina na walevu na no ni shol ni alo tambu Rani mai wanga taki na tikinongo. To wapi na vinakataka na vivara utaki. Ni kamba ni mai TV na mataka ni kuwa. Rani mai garabi ndone itabi ongo. Turanga na ni mami kalongo. Rani la veti ya nikina na vinga ngande show. E koto na singa ni kuwa. Embaleta na ni mami bonua viti. Keirutuma. Kena mata tamata na tamaike mami. Kena vili utaki. Nani mbula ni mata wale. Mbula mbale tira ni mami tambangona ni mami sol. Kima misara mbora na singa ni kuwa nonda mbula. Kima misata tauna kavike muni kreaturanga. Muninga rongoda ni mami masu. Tosanga masu na wabi na vinaka. Na kere vike muni. Na yadha muninga turanga chishu. Sayado mene mami soroka ni mami wakambula. Amen. Chishu.
Kina tiko tambo wakalo malangi ena mataka venaka kuwa. Kita undambetiko na nomoni tamata me mai dhambori veki muni. Na vei ulutanga mbimbi yang andrevi me mai dhambori na singendai. Me mbaleta tiko na nomoni vanu viti. Na itambangone na vei ndrendre ni mbula. Ralako turumatu na ngauna ni kuwa. Turanga senga veki mami na kaukaua me ki mami na moida kina. Na itobo ni non rambula mera lesu wagatau dhoko veki muni. Mera na vakila na vinaka. Mera na vakila na kamikamida ni mbula ni taumbale lako vatiki muni. E na mataka ni kwa kima misada mbora. Na vei yalo ya ndundua. E na vei mbati ni ngau ni sala da vanga. E randabi tukina na itambangoa ni turanga. Kerea na nomoni rarama vakalo. Mena vakarara mataka na nonra vakasama. Vakarara mataka na nonra mbula. Moni na kautira tani mai. E na vei ndraki ni mbula mputo. E rabe suki tukina. E na ngau na indai. Mera vakila turanga. Ni tiko na ituva. Honi ngandreba moni veve vakarau takikina. Na ni mami kaloleko. La beti rokovi. Ndo kaitiko kina na nomoni tutu tambu. Vakalo e na mataka.
Tamai kito wakala malangi. Jisuni wakambula ni asudu mai mati na kawel kai me mbula kina ke me tamata buru. Kalau ni alo tambu ni lute ke mai mitu na be se kondi kini mbula. Mataka ni singa binaka dentai kito waka bini binaka be kem ni na nomoni bi kadibi. Ni ambulia na bura ni ambuli ke mai waka toto wata me ke mai lubia muni. Ke mai waka bini binaka be kem ni na nomoni lama wosibi. Me hada batiko mai na singa binaka dentai. Binaba levo na program binaka ngo ni tau ya butaka. Na mai TV kito waka bini binaka be kem ni na nomoni bi kadibi. Kito waka bini binaka taka na nomoni alo tambu e bilu takitu be ke mami. Ke mami dingi takitu me be kem ni ke mami waka bini binaka na nomoni mai kadibi kito wata. E na mata ni program binaka ngo na mai TV channel. Vera kede na tamata ya ndundua na buru na Kongo. E tiko kina na maten tungo kabiti kito waka bini binaka be kemni oni kadib kito kina me ada tiko na nomuni be bambulai tete tiko na nomuni bosa ken nomuni alo tambu veiran tamata ya ndundua teko bu mai vera na ngone karasangai sudu me ada sarra veira tamata ngase veira na libili utaki tiko na maten tu Na tama tamata vaka ya ndundua. Ver na bu wale ndundua ke to sa vaka bini mina ka ve kemni na mataka ni sirita. Ndo na ka me kema mikaya me kema mi vaka bini mina ka tinga ve kemni. O kemni oni biti ke mami ena ngauna oni sa vaka telo wakina na ve ka kema mi garaba. Me sarro ko biti ngakina vaka dire ka vaka bini mina ka tinga kina kemni ni sai kemni na te tamai ke mami vaka lo malangi. Ito sangai masu ena de chisu ne to vaka mbula ndundonga. Ena mataka ni binaka ni ku na bakaleu na wale usaka
Mga binaka veki mni turanga na ndona ayo turanga ki memrega na nom ni langi na nom ni rokobi na nom ni tokai mo ni la veki mo langi turanga turanga misanga ndo ku ni le roka na me ki mai la veti veki mni na be luta ki na nema mi mate itu ena ya busa ena be luta ki ba bonua na be luta ki na be sana ke de turanga na bono na lomani ngo biti kim sa tambora veki mni na ni mami bonua na ni mami ba be ka ke ki mami ba ya turanga ka ba ko sibi na be matalo tu me ki mami Walu di kimni nga nakalo nambula ni velo mani nambula ni vaka bata nambula ni ndo vata turanga moni rokobi moni langiti ti ko ngakina na ni mami kalo ni kuni sarin kalo naka kalo ndo loloma kuni vaka ya ti ko kina ni mami mbula turanga ni bondi ta kina ni mami mbula no nomi tamata mi ki mami ngusumni ki mami baka ndini nambula ta turanga ni kuni sambula ti ko nakalo ndo loloma do vaka ya vaka kalo ndo viso tabi verna ni mami mata bubale Verna ni mami tambangone, verna vilu taki na vibu no ki sara turanga. Ki mami sala beta nga vikimni, ne sobuti ko no ni velu muti bakalo. Kami aga na tiko velu mani sautu na ne mami bonolo mani obiti. Ki na vibu no ki sara turanga. Mi aga tiko nga nom ni lawana nom ni tuba na ne mami kalo. Ki mami ni masu tiko ki mami baka bine ka tiko vikimni turanga. Ya sengai na ratane ne dhamri nga chisu. Sa aga ne mami bakambulan dina ndondo.
Amen. Shu na maleo.
Ni yana lang
Wana karole kutama, ke kwana lugana, ke kwana lutambo. Me bakana ni bakatibu, dai metao mundo. Amen. Adai kwana karole kutama, ke kwana lugana, ke kwana lutambo.
Amen.